Hollywood's golden boy. He looks like he has it all, but real life isn't a movie. Behind the curtain, a hidden heartbreak is playing out. I'm Sarah Reed, and on Golden American Legends, I don't chase gossip. I chase records, interviews, and the small human truths that never make the red carpet. At 61, Brad Pitt is in the kind of chapter no studio would ever greenlight. The public story is fame, wealth, and iconic roles. The private story is grief, distance, and work on himself. Here is the hard fact that sets the tone. An 8-year legal battle that began in 2016 ended in late 2024. The settlement recognized equal custody for the minor children. And still, in a recent interview, Brad said he felt no relief when it was finally over. Legal boxes got checked, his heart did not. Today, I'll walk you through his career glow, the marriage and the long court fight, the children's response, the reset he chose, and the life he's building now. We pulled from official filings and his own words to separate myth from reality. Quick gut check. After hearing it took 8 years and still ended with equal custody, what shocks you more, the time it took or the split arrangement? Pick A or B and tell me why. First, what did that marathon divorce actually decide? Let's open the file. 8 years of a Hollywood divorce, done and dusted? Not quite. Even the final papers didn't bring calm. The case began in 2016 and finally settled near the end of 2024. On paper, it looks straightforward. She once sought full custody. A private judge ultimately set equal custody going forward. Investigators looked into an incident on a flight years earlier and cleared him. Both sides walked away from future spousal support. Custody terms applied only to their minor twins because the older children had already come of age. Those are the legal lines, but paper can be cold. After nearly a decade of filings and hearings, the court could only divide time. It could not mend trust or give back all the family dinners missed while attorneys argued. Brad has said that even signing the final documents did not heal him emotionally. The process bore fruit in a technical sense, but not in the way fans pictured. Equal custody sounds stable. The soul is messier. And that mess showed up where it hurts most, at home. Because when the dust settled, the biggest shock wasn't the stamp on a court order, it was what happened with the kids themselves. The real punch landed inside his family. Next, the children's distance. He was a proud father of 6. Then the names began to change. One by one, the family album felt thinner. In August of 2024, his 18-year-old daughter Shiloh legally removed Pitt from her name. Her filing pointed to painful events. Reports say several siblings followed some version of that choice. No tabloid headline can capture the quiet thud a parent feels when a last name disappears. Sources close to Brad said he was very upset. Of course he was. He misses his children deeply. Birthdays, traditions, and small inside jokes don't know how to live on a legal line. This is the wound the court could not treat. A judge can set a schedule. A judge cannot set a heart. It's the part of the story that makes fans whisper, how did it get here? The answer is layered. Years of strain, public glare, and one alleged incident on a plane that became the match everyone remembers, even though the case was closed with no charges. Distance was not born in a day. It grew in the spotlight. Was that distance tied to the story that lit the fuse? To understand how trust cracked, we have to rewind to that flight and what investigators actually found. Dark news in 2016. Serious accusations flew from a private jet into every living room on Earth. The words were heavy, and the echo was louder than any fact check. But the official reviews told a different story. Federal and child welfare investigators examined the claim. In the end, no charges were filed. The case was closed. Brad was cleared. That sentence, cleared, should have been the full stop. It wasn't. In the court of public opinion, a rumor can stick long after an agency signs off. People remember the accusation more than the conclusion. For Brad and his family, that meant repairing trust that headlines had already bent out of shape. It also meant living with a narrative that some folks never updated, even when the record did. I won't glamorize this part. It was dark, painful, and it changed the house forever. But the truth matters. The official findings said he did not commit abuse. That is the record. What followed was a divorce that stretched for years and a father trying to stand still while the floor moved beneath him. If the law cleared him, how do you rebuild from that kind of doubt? You go inward, and you start the hardest work of all. His biggest battle wasn't a role, it was his own life. He hit emotional bottom and said he needed a reset. So he did the humbling human thing. He asked for help. Brad committed to Alcoholics Anonymous for about a year and a half. He tried different ways to cope, but the group's honesty is what finally cracked the shell. Sitting in a circle, hearing men speak their truths without polish, he found a space where fame doesn't count and masks come off. He called it a reset for a reason. There was no magic fix, no quick makeover montage, just slow, honest work. He listened more than he talked. He took inventory. He held himself accountable. Over time, the meetings that first felt intimidating became something he looked forward to. Vulnerability became the new strength. That's not glossy, but it is real. This is where I feel the most empathy for him. I grew up loving old Hollywood myths, but I've learned that real courage looks like showing up when nobody claps. Brad showed up. He built healthier habits, leaned on trusted friends, and started to heal. But even after all that inner work, when the galley finally fell on the divorce, the feeling wasn't what he expected. Final papers, no relief. He'd waited years for that stamp, hoping it would feel like exhaling after a long dive. It didn't. In a candid interview in 2025, Brad said he felt no relief when the divorce was legally done. He described the conclusion as a process that simply bore fruit. Useful, yes, but not the release. That line tells you everything. Legal closure and emotional closure are two different rooms. Why bring that up? Because it shatters the fairy tale ending we keep trying to paste on real people. When a judge signs, we expect confetti. But grief doesn't read the docket. The body keeps its own calendar. Even with equal custody set for the minors and financial issues simplified with no future spousal support, he didn't wake up a new man the next morning. He was just a man, still hurt, still working. For me, this is where the story grows up. It's not about winners and losers. It's about a person learning that paperwork cannot carry a heart. So where do you put the heart? You look for new peace in your daily life. And for Brad, a new relationship brought a steadier kind of calm. After the turmoil, he found calm, not a headline, a person. Since 2023, Brad has been with Ines de Ramon, a 35-year-old jewelry executive with a quiet, grounded presence. People close to them say she brought stability when he needed it most. They've stepped out together a few times, like at a Formula One race in 2024, but the energy doesn't feel staged. It feels like two adults trying to build something steady in the middle of noise. I'm not here to sell a fairy tale. Real relationships evolve. What matters is the tone. More dinners at home than nights on carpets. More real talk than photo ops. Ines seems to be part of that shift for him. Fewer distractions, more focus on everyday life. That is how you turn a page. If you followed Brad's highs for decades, this quieter chapter might look small. To me, it looks like growth. He is organizing around peace, not press. The famous face is still there, but the choices feel private, calm, human. Peace and love sound like a happy ending, but even now, the spotlight can twist the story. Next, let's pull apart rumor and record. He's been blamed for everything: losing his kids, abandoning faith, choosing fame over family. But the record tells a more nuanced story. Official filings show equal custody for the minors. There is no court finding that he lost his children. During the long feud, public statements stayed measured. Despite the noise, there is no proof of a smear campaign from the other side. And the healing path he described wasn't a sudden spiritual conversion. He pointed to therapy and Alcoholics Anonymous, not a religious rebirth. This is where I plant a flag. We dug into court documents and credible reporting, not whispers. The truth isn't glossy, but it's firm. Some rumors make great clicks. They don't hold up under light. If you value myth-busting, context, and real receipts, subscribe and stick with me. You're watching Golden American Legends, and we bring the past and present together without the spin. Tap subscribe, hit like, and share this with a friend who still quotes Fight Club. With the noise sorted, it's time to remember why this hurts so much to watch. We didn't just meet Brad in court, we met him in roles that defined a generation. He was on top of Hollywood, Seven, Fight Club, Troy, name a decade, and he left a mark on it. He also won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in 2020 for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. By 61, he had 4 acting nominations and that win. That kind of career makes fans assume the life behind it must be charmed. Red carpets, global premieres, endless applause. But fame doesn't fix a life. It can't. That's the hard contrast here. The guy who conquered screen after screen still went home to court dates, co-parenting calendars, and the ache of distance. The sharper the spotlight, the longer your shadow. And in that shadow, you find the real person. I'll be honest, I grew up in love with old school movie magic. I wanted the myth to be true. Brad's story reminds me that the myth isn't the point, the person is. That's why his private battle hits so hard. We know the legend, now we see the man. If career glory couldn't heal him, what did? The answer is quieter and braver than a headline. He felt lost inside, not in a church pew, but in a small room with chairs in a circle. Instead of a quick fix, he chose work. Brad has never claimed a sudden religious conversion. In his own words, he credited therapy and Alcoholics Anonymous for giving him a fresh start. At first, it felt intimidating, strange to speak without a script. Over time, he said he looked forward to it. The honesty in those rooms mattered more than any public praise. There's a lesson here I keep coming back to. Healing is not a headline. It's a habit. It's people showing up for you and you showing up for yourself. It's owning your part without hiding from it. That kind of work doesn't earn trophies. It builds a life. So, did faith play a role? Maybe the simple faith that telling the truth can make a person whole again. But the practical path he talks about is therapy, community, and accountability. That is where he found the reset he needed. And that work set him up for the next hard question, the one only family can answer. Try to reunite or give space. He misses his family most on Christmas. The quiet is loud on those days. He has said he wants closeness with his children and that the holidays are different without them. But the law can't force feelings. Equal custody exists on paper. 4 of the 6 children are now adults. The 2 youngest were the focus of the final custody details. A judge can set time. A family must choose trust. So what now? Some fans call for privacy. Let them rebuild off camera. Others hope for a public reunion, proof that time can heal what broke. Both wishes come from love, I think. It's delicate. The path forward will be a long string of small choices. A text returned, a lunch accepted, a boundary respected. If there is a bridge to build, it will be built slowly. From where I sit, he is doing what he can, staying sober, telling the truth, keeping the door open. No court can do more than that. Whatever happens next, this chapter has taught us to stop treating people like plot twists, which leads to the bigger lesson about fame we all need to hear. He had everything: money, fame, fans, and still he hurt. That's the sentence most people don't want to say out loud. We love the myth of the untouchable star, but Brad's story shows that success doesn't shield a heart from real life. Many fans have said the same online. He's human, show compassion. I agree. His openness about AA and therapy is more helpful than any glamorous denial could ever be. There's a wider point here. When media turns a life into a circus, the rest of us can choose not to buy a ticket. We can hold space for complicated truths. We can care about facts more than friction. The mature move is empathy over mockery. That is how we talk about legends without losing sight of the person. I built this channel on that idea. We can enjoy the art and still honor the human cost. Brad's journey is a reminder to look past the poster and see the person breathing behind it. So the next time a headline screams, ask yourself, is there a quieter truth I'm missing? There usually is. He survived the storm. Most of that survival happened far from cameras. These days, he sounds like a man choosing peace. He has said that real grounding comes from close friends and family, not from headlines. Media attention, to him, is more of a nuisance than a burden now. That shift matters. It's the difference between living for applause and living for your own steady breath. What should we take from this? That the quiet work counts most. That a legend can be a student of humility at 61. That you can lose the public story and still find your private strength. The man once seen as having it all found out that all wasn't the point. Peace was. If you carry anything from today, carry this. Healing often comes slowly, without a soundtrack, in small rooms with people who know your middle name. The myth glows. The real thing holds. Hold that close, because it is bigger than one actor, one family, or one chapter. It is a way to live. We just traced Brad Pitt's road from Hollywood icon to a man living through very human pain. We dug into the filings, the long fight that ended after 8 years, the children's distance, the dark jet headline that ended with no charges, the year and a half he spent in AA, the lack of relief at the finish line, the calm he's found with Ines, and the gap between rumor and record. The picture is harder than a movie poster and more honest than a tabloid splash. If this kind of careful human storytelling means something to you, I'd love it if you subscribed. It helps me keep doing work that treats legends like people, not plot twists. Tap like, share this with a friend who still quotes his films, and drop your thoughts below. Thanks for watching, truly. I'll leave you with one question to sit with. Which part of Brad's story surprised you most? The heartbreak or the hope? Share what you learned and why in the comments. I'm Sarah Reed, and I'll see you in the next one.